And we are live and in concert. Thank you again. Oh, I like those fabulous messages from Death Wish Coffee. So it's Labor Day. I'm going to record this message because I'm sure on Tuesday everybody's going to want to hear something powerful, right, about what's going to happen. Look at that. Got a perfect haircut. One set of hair out of line. What a shame. So one of the things that has been on my mind is the actions of men, right? So a lot of men make mistakes. A lot of men screw it up. The problem with that is how many times do we have to make that before we figure out maybe you ought not to be doing that very much? Over the years, I've seen several groups grow and thrive and survive and then fall apart, usually because of money, but more often because the assimilation of the group is simply collected because, well, we don't like them, or we don't like them, or we don't like her, or we don't like him, or the government's treating us wrong. Whatever, it's always a formation of individuals who have this like-minded idea of something's not going the way it ought to be going as I think it should be going. So I'm going to form a group and we're going to build that up and we're going to survive. We're going to survive the jive, right? There's a lot to be said for that and a lot to be said against it. One of the things that is the most difficult to go through that course and pass through the various groups. Good evening, man. What's going on? My man. Is that we grow and we develop. We learn things and we become something more. We actively grow into something better. I mean, that's the whole point of us being here. One of the most difficult things for any group to do is to realize that person's becoming something better. Not as I expected you to do, but in a totally different way. And that's the difference between a leader and a guru, a self-styled guru. That's the difference between someone that wants to control everything and someone who is honestly interested in the development of the individuals that come and pay attention. That's really what it's all about. I mean, if you get right down to what life is about, it's got to be about helping others become something more. That's the hands down most important thing we can do. The Buddha said that the absence of expectation is the key to happiness. And the reason I bring that up is because when we give somebody something, when we help someone along the line, when we help someone move further down the road, as the kind of people that we're all striving to be, the first person that's the recipient of the benefit of that exchange of gift that's so important to have them all is the person doing the giving. I can't, and the only reason I'm aware of that is because of my father. Because every time he would do something for somebody, he had this inherent belief that, well, they're going to pay me back and there's going to be something good for that. And they're going to show me some respect. They're going to treat me the way I think they need to treat me. There was always this expectation of some kind of some favorable or beneficial behavior. But if you're giving things away and you're an asshole, it's probably not going to work. But if you can get that idea in your head of, if I give something, I'm giving it because I want to. I'm giving it because I have built myself into the individual that's capable of giving a gift. And that's something that we often leave out of our group associations. That's something that we often leave out of our interpretations, our readings of the Have Them All, is that if I'm capable of giving a gift, that is one of the surest signs of success we might ever have. If I'm capable of partaking in this endeavor, then I've done something that matters, that gives me a future. That means that this person that I am today, that if I make some decisions about what it should look like 10 years from now, I'll be shortchanging myself because in 10 years, I should be a different person altogether. All of this is about that. One of the most important stories about that is there's a lot of them, Thor being one. and perhaps I'll get into that next one. One of the most important ones is Frey, and Frey is a beautiful character to me. It's a beautiful god to me. Is a wonderful idea. There was a time when these gods were prominent in the lives and social structure, everything that people didn't understand. You got to remember that going so far back, people may not have comprehended that if you have intercourse with another person, there will be a baby. Because sometimes that doesn't always happen, right? So then it's a mystery. Well, it's supposed to happen, but it didn't happen. So then these gods of fertility and abundance became a part of everything, because that's what we want, isn't it? We want a god that shows that we, and a goddess that have that offers the blessing of being able to love someone else and reproduce and have a child with that. And there comes with that obligation. And you see it in the Rig Thula, but you also see it in the actions of Frey and Freya. Is the building of something worthwhile to celebrate that abundance of what we're trying to develop, right? And I hate using that term because it's been beat to death by the church, and I'm sorry if it causes that knee-jerk reaction, because it does the same thing to me. I haven't found a better term for it yet, right? A bountiful harvest. There we go. That'll work. So we've gone over what Freya does for the people. She creates the hill of healing, right? For those women that have lain sick, long sick and sore, she created a place, a refuge for them, a hope, a place to help them heal. That direct divine blessing for women who have gone through something. Her brother's no less important. Frey's the same thing. There's so much of what we do in all of this that suggests to be manly men doing manly things, and we need to build muscles and all these other things. And yet we see Thor had one of his finest moments is when a completely unworthy individual comes up here and says, "Look, I want the hand of your daughter." Oh, how so? Right? He doesn't just smash him in the head with a hammer. He has a discussion and really sets him up and to demonstrate, you may know all of that, you're still not worthy. That's the thing that a lot of people miss from the Warder of Men. We may know all these things. That does not make us worthy. It's our actions that make us worthy. My actions have been sorry. That's just the way it is, right? I have failed and fallen on my face again and again and again. How do I get up? How do I try to do something better? Well, for one, every now and again, I got to reach out and say, you know what? I was incorrect. I was wrong. And I apologize. Now, that can also be considered the giving of a gift. Because for one, it sets your mind free of the constant thought process that may be the one weed in the garden that's preventing you from creating a thought process that allows you to enjoy all of these wonderful blessings that the world has to offer, that we're built to understand and explore. I mean, the human body is the perfect vessel to explore every corner of this world. And we have a spiritual capacity to delve into wonderful things that offers hope and love and all these other connections. We have a mind that is powerful enough to create. Look out your window. Next time you're driving down the road, everything you see was once a thought in somebody's head. All of it. Some of it may be much older technology, but some of it must be very new. So it's the actions, our bodies, it's the actions that we put all of those together, our emotions, our mental, our spiritual, all of them together to create an action that's worthy of living up to what we hold dear and holy. Can you do it all the time? No. We're human, right? We've got to work on things. One of the best ways to do that is an absolutely rigorous honesty with ourselves and with others. Absolutely has to be that way. One of the things I wanted to talk about was Frey, but I can't seem to find his tale in the Poetic Edda. Right? So he fell in love. He took a place on a seat that he wasn't prepared to sit in. Odin was skipped out. He decided, hey, I'm going to sit on the throne and see what it's like. and he got a peek of what's going on in the world. He also got a peek of something wonderful. And it says in the Have 'em all, don't make fun of a man when he is struck by love. Because it'll make a fool out of all of us, right? It's just what happens. It's just what happens. And it takes an awfully powerful heart, or maybe even more importantly, or more aptly said, a cold heart, not to pay attention to those passions that emerge in a person's breast when they meet someone they know is for them. Right? Because I got to tell you, it's a real blessing to allow that to happen. Now, where do I get that from the Lord? Right? How does that? The fuck kind of? I'm supposed to be a manly man swinging a sword or an axe, killing giants and dragons and all these other masculine things, and stepping forward with brave men and brave women at my side, moving forward through the world. I found it. So there's two things about Frey that go over so much of what we need to learn as men and the actions in this world. Some of it comes from very, very, very long ago. But this one is about how a man needs to be as a partner. And I think it's one of the more beautiful stories in the lore. And I think it's one of the more reassuring things that comes with it. And we got to remember a couple of things about Frey. One is he had a sword that fought of its own will, and no one could defeat him. So this was certainly a man of battle. This was certainly a god of war. And he's also kind of a solar deity. He's the gentle summer rains. He's not the storm like Thor is. He's the gentle summer rains and the sunshine and all the other things. And when the sun starts setting and it's kind of filtering through the leaves and there's dust in the air, and you say, "Oh, that's Frey." To me, anyway, that's where I feel. That's when I see. That's when I feel that strongest kind of thing. And when I see those things, that reminds me to review kind of my thoughts and my actions. Am I living up to that responsibility of being a partner? Right? Am I living up to that responsibility of being what I could be to this woman that I love? Right? There's a lot of work involved in that. There's a lot of fear involved in that, because every one of us, just like the Valkyrie laying in the fire, put on this armor over everything, and especially men. Men, we find someone that we love, and the very first time she denigrates or makes fun of or ridicules what we perceive as being vulnerable with an individual, it's very difficult to ever get that back, if ever it does come. It takes a lot of courage on the man's part to be willing to try again. And most of them, with all the people in the world of social media, I don't feel like trying. I think I'll go over here. And that's just the reality of it. Men are like that. They give one shot, or they'll stick with it and just be part of an individual in a relationship. And then they wonder, why aren't things happening the way they're supposed to? But Frey sets a standard for this to strive to become. So this truly impressive individual, or God or divinity, divine being, that could engage in a battle that no one could defeat him, right? You need to remember that's a powerful thing. That's like the same thing as Balder. Nothing would hurt him. If you wanted a couple of individuals to lead your Mannerbund, it would be Frey and Balder. Because one's always going to win and the other one can't be hurt. Imagine if we have that part inside of us. Imagine if that's an aspect of who we are too. Is it something so simple as changing our thought process? Yep. Because that leads to emotional stability. That leads to mental toughness. That leads to building our physical strength. These are the things that carry us through all the trials and tribulations of life. But as I digress, as Frey jumped onto the seat, he saw something that blew his mind. Now, this is the midnight sun. Frey represents the midnight sun up there. And sat one day in Hliskiof and looked over all the worlds. He looked into Jotunheim and saw there a fair maiden. As she went from her father's house to her bower, forthwith he felt a mighty love sickness. Skirner was the name of Freya's servant. Njorth bade him ask speech of Frey. He said, "You want to go find out." So his dad caught wind of it. His dad sees his boy moping around. What's going on, Skid? A couple of things you need to remember here. The midnight sun looks into Jotunheim, and what does he see? Gerder, who I have read, and it makes sense to me, is a representation of the Northern Lights. The two would never see each other, though both would be beautiful in each other's eyes. Wild and mysterious and attractive and alluring. What a wonderful thing. But to the Northern Lights, the midnight sun steals it of its ability to shine. And there's a real thing there for a woman to consider when being with a man. Is he going to steal from me my ability to shine? So the whole tale goes through here. Skirner rides and he goes and he takes the sword. So this is where, oh, that's awesome. Yes. And it froze up on me. Awesome. I like it when I pay $100 a month for high-speed internet and it's reliable just some of the time. Thank you for that, Mediacom. Appreciate it. At any rate, yeah, so it's a real. Me and Shanae have seen the Northern Lights several times. When I first moved up here, it was like, how often you see the Northern Lights? She's like, not very often. Well, we've seen them a bunch. And there's a reason for that, too, that I'm going to get into at the end of this. And I think we saw them on our birthday last year, didn't we? Anyway, Frey asked his manservant. So this is kind of like high school, right? So the sun can't just walk into the night and begin a discussion with the Northern Lights. There's going to have to be a mediator. There's going to have to be something go in between. Moon would do it. But he asked his manservant Skirnir, and he offers him a fine horse, but also that sword that wins of its own accord, because this is a young deity. This is a young individual still seeking to make his name. Now, remember, this is also the same individual that rides into hell on to go on. What's that? Rides into hell to see Balder at Freya and Odin's request, at Frigga's request. At Frigga's request, he rides into hell and has that discussion. Yeah, so there's an important thing right there. So this individual, Skirnir, is a very important individual, maybe sometimes we'll discuss. But insofar as Frey is concerned, he's doing this for his man. He's doing it for his bud. This is his man, right? This is his boy, right? He's a part of a crew, right? The horse I will give thee that goes through the dark and magic flickering flames, and the sword as well that will fight of itself if a worthy hero wields it. So Frey's actions are worthy because he wields it. So Skirnir, his actions are also worthy. So he goes into Jotunheim. Notice he didn't say he didn't go into Midgard. He didn't go into Alfheim, who is the Lord of Alfheim. He goes into Jotunheim. So that tells me many things. One is that we're dealing with not only 9 realms, but perhaps 9 styles of individual, 9 personalities of individuals, places that people are along the way. And if you look at the Kundalini Yoga and you look at those colors, they are the rainbow bridge that leads to Asgard, right? Are we an individual that's always succumbing to the baser, more elemental emotional states of being? Or are we someone that begins to try to ascribe to these higher elevated thought processes? And all of this lore is built upon that approach of growing into something better. So Skirnir rides into Jotunheim, and he gets stopped by a couple of dogs, and the herdsman says, "Art thou doomed to die or already dead?" Because he asks him, "You're a fool. What are you doing in here?" Right? These people here are savages, right? It's like a businessman wearing a 3-piece suit walking into the roughest part of town. He has no business there, right? He's going to get mugged or whatever. Now, if he's an educated businessman, he's probably armed and he's going to be okay. But for the most part, people just wandering around, going into the backwoods in Oklahoma. You go certain parts of the backwoods in Creek County or down there around McAllister up in the Ozarks. If you ain't got no business there, you probably don't need to be there after dark, right? Because they're all related. And it might only be one straight up family tree, but they're all related nonetheless. Don't fool around down there. But Skirner said, boldness is better than plights can be for him whose feet must fare, right? So he's telling him, look, I'm going. I got what I need here, and this is what's going to happen. So he goes across and he finds Girth, right? Girder, who just fascinates me. This whole idea here. So he gets to the castle, right? Her father's castle, and he says, to a destined day has mine age been doomed and my lifespan there too late. So he already knows. Look, I'm fixing it. I'll lay it down at Ragnarok. Right now, you are not a problem. I got this. Gerda spake, what noise is that which now so loud I hear within our house? The ground shakes, and the haltney of Gimmer around me trembles too. The serving maid speaks. One stands without who has leapt from his steed and lets his horse loose to graze. She says, well, bid the man come in and drink good mead here within our hall, though this I fear that there without my brother's slayer stands. I am not of the elves, nor the offspring of the gods, nor of the wise wains. This is a man. This is a man whose association with the divine has allowed him to endure and enjoy magnificent journeys of adventure. What an amazing thought that we miss when we read over that. We fail to realize I can be just like that. 11 apples, all of gold, here will I give, Gerda, to buy thy troth, that Frey shall be deemed to be dearest to you. Now, them golden apples will make you immortal. No, I will not take any man's wish, these 11 apples ever, nor shall Frey and I one dwelling find so long as we two live. She got her nose stuck up in the air, right? She's living on daddy's money. She's comfortable in that castle. She ain't got to change nothing. She's the princess, and all is going to go her way. Skirner spake, then I bring thee the ring that was burned of old with Odin's son, and from it do 8 of like weight fall on every 9th night. So Draupnir is a powerful thing. Draupnir would make her father a very wealthy man, right? So what you got to realize is that ring is a troth, is a that's where you offer your oath. The oath ring is a powerful thing, and 8 of them to fall every 9 nights. You got to be a wealthy individual to give out that many oaths, because an oath is a two-way street. It ain't just one way. You're not going to oath into something. It's a two-way street. So if you oath into something and then old boy just sitting on his ass with Cheeto dust on his laps, how's that benefiting you? Because I've had many associations. Well, you should be a part of this. Why? So you can ride my coattails? Well, what benefit does it do to me to be this way? Because last time I checked, every time I turn around, this association is costing me something, right? So be careful giving those oaths. But in this sense, this is a very powerful, capable individual to give that many oaths every 9 nights, right? For no man's sake will I ever suffer to be thus moved by might, but gladly methinks will Gimmer seek to fight if he finds thee here. Oh, I missed one there. The ring I wish not, though burned it was of old with Odin's son, and Gimmer's home is no lack of gold and the wealth my father wields. Once again, this is a spoiled girl. She got daddy's money, right? And if that's daddy's princess, she's got all of it she wants. It's kind of how it works. All right, he said, seest thou made this keen bright sword? That here I hold in my hand, thy head from thy neck shall I straightway hew, if thou wilt not do my will. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never seen violence against a woman prove to be beneficial in any way, shape, form, or fashion. They will get back. You may never even know it. She might clean the toilet with your toothbrush and then just kind of smile as you're brushing your teeth the next day. Well, she has a black eye. She got you. You're going to have, what's all this? What's wrong with my teeth? Oh, I don't know, honey. You don't, so you're not going to get anybody that way. Look here, you're going to come with me. It's like the guy in the bar that's been drunk all night, right? And he goes to pick up some girl. She says, no, Not no, but hell no. He's like, or see, that kind of nonsense never turns out right. It's a good way to get your ass whipped. That's all I'm saying. She tells him too, for no man's sake will I ever suffer to be thus moved by might. You're not going to bully me around. But gladly methinks will Gimmer seek to fight if he finds thee here. She got a brother, right? Seest thou, maiden, that he just tells you, just bring him on. I'll cut his head off too, right? So now he's going to tell her what the reality of it is. And this is the thing that most of us miss in life. We don't really understand where we are, what the reality of our situation is, right? Well, we all want to get kind of lost in this and explore these ideas and build ourselves into something better. And we're living paycheck to paycheck. And that's a very hard thing to find congruence in. And there's a real lack of integrity with ourselves when only part of ourselves is reaching out to become something magnificent and the rest of us isn't following along. That's a matter of integrity, right? If only one part of us is truly developing into anything magnificent and the other part of us is working in a 7-Eleven, that hurts. That creates this chaos in our mind. That's the playground of Loki. That's where the half-truth and the lie and the deceit, that's where we begin to fool ourselves into thinking we're doing something great and we're not being honest with where we really are. Because part of ourselves is taking off on this adventure. The rest of ourselves needs to understand, yeah, your emotions are worth it. Your heart is worth it. Your body is worth it. Take care of yourself and follow that dream. And that dream, a lot of the times, is the candle, the torch that lights the way. Kenaz is most typically that source of inspiration is our spirituality. Now, the one that follows closely second is love, right? How many magnificent, wonderful, terrible, awesome things have people done for the sake of love, right? The power of the heart. Men sacrifice themselves on the battlefield because they love the people they're with. They're fighting for people they consider to be their brothers, right? Men run into a burning home to save their kids. Mothers pick up cars to save their children. All of these kind of things happen because of love. So when we get right down to it, there's no shortage of inspiration for us to move. You get your heart and mind moving in the same direction, your ass will follow, right? So that's what we got to pay attention to. Do I love this? Do I feel loved in this? Is this inspiring my imagination to be something great? Is this firing on all cylinders? You get to going on your heart and mind, following along something like that. I'm worth it. I got this. I can do this. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be stronger. Then you get up, your ass follows along with you. Next thing you know, you're in the gym, you're working out, you got a job, you're moving up. This is how it all builds together. This is how it's supposed to work, right? Skerner is trying to convince her of where she's at. Listen here, you're living on daddy's money. That ain't going to last forever. He's going to die. Period. Hands down. You're going to get a little bit of money, but your brother's probably going to take all of it, right? Then you're going to be old and alone. So he says to her, if I strike thee with my magic staff to tame thee to work my will, and now he's going to curse her. More loathsome to thee than the light-hued snake to men shall thy meat become. Ooh. Fearful to see if thou comest forth, Hrimnir will stand and stare, men will marvel at thee. More fame shalt thou grow than the watchman of the gods. Fear forth then from thy prison. Rage and longing, fetters and wrath, tears and torment are thine. Where thou sittest down, my doom is on thee, of heavy heart and double toil. In the giant's home shall vile things harm thee, each day with evil deeds. Grief shalt thou get instead of gladness, and suffer to sorrow with tears. With three-headed giants thou shalt ever dwell, and or never know a husband. Let longing grip thee, let wasting waste thee. Be like the thistle that in the loft was cast and was crushed. I go to the wood and the wet forest to win a magic wand. I want a magic wand. I want you to think about the single life for just a minute. Take a good long remembrance of what it was to be single. To be out there in the game having a good time, right? To be out there doing what, well, that's what everybody else is doing. Might as well, I'm going to get in here and have some fun too. How often have these emotions tormented our thoughts at night when we are alone? How many times has that very thing made us cry? How many times have we felt that vile things harm me each day with deeds? Grief I've got instead of gladness. I cast my heart in this direction to find gladness and only come up with grief. I laid with this over here, expecting joy and long lasting happiness, and found terrible things. Three-headed giants will ever thee lay. The men that are physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive. That's the three-headed giant. So this is a reality check. Every princess in her father's castle knows she is the princess, and nothing's going to harm her there. But to go out into the world is a great risk. To go out into the world is a terrifying endeavor, and it's doubly tough. It doesn't matter if you're pretty or homely. It's hard to go out in the world because everybody's got a fucking comment to say, right? Everybody wants to take advantage of something. And the three-headed beasts are all around. So what is a man's responsibility in that? So he comes back. So he tells her of the curse. And then he continues on. He won his magic wand. Odin grows angry. Angered is the best of the gods. Frey shall be thy foe, most evil maid, who the magic wrath of gods has got for thyself. So, this is similar to probably Medusa. Such a beautiful woman that attracted Poseidon and made the mistake of getting it on in Athena's temple, and that did not go well for her, right? So she became, being touched by love and having it stolen from her, she became the Gorgon, the Medusa that turned men to stone with but a look. I assure you, when a pretty woman gives you that look, it can be something. When someone you love gives you that look that you have failed to live up to those responsibilities, do the same thing. Right? Give heed, frost rulers, hear it, giants, sons of Sutung, and gods ye too, how I forbid and how I ban the meeting of men with the maid, the joy of men with the maid. Hringmir is he, the giant, who shall have thee in the depth of by the doors of hell. To the frost giant's hall each day shalt thou fare, crawling and craving in vain, crawling and having no hope. Right? So, isn't that what we all look for when we're trying to get with someone? Hope. Isn't that the wonderful thing that we're looking for, is hope for that happy ending, right? We all want the happy ending. Everybody wants it, man or woman. I don't give a shit. Everybody wants to feel special in somebody else's eyes. And he's doing his best to rob her of it. Right? I write thee a charm in 3 runes therewith, longing and madness and lust, but what have I writ I may yet unwrite if I find a need therefore. So he shows her the opportunity, shows her what it is. Now, this may not be the best tactic in this day and age to kind of do something like that to a woman, because that's probably not going to go over. I think there's stalking laws and harassment and online bullying. And I mean, they will come search warrant your Snapchat and haul your ass to jail, right? So just send them a random penis pic saying, if you don't take this, you're going to be, he pulls out his wand and sends her a curse. It's not going to work. So please don't try that. Let's make sure we're paying attention to what it is. Girth spake, find welcome rather, and with it take the frost-filled cup with mead. So I did not believe that I should so love every one of the wains. Right? So she changes her mind. She takes a look at it. Okay, well, maybe I can consider this. Now, that's a different age and a different time, and we would be remiss to replace what our values are today on that ancient thing. How best do we find it? I think what I've just talked about is probably one of the best ways to look at it. All right? She changes her mind. The Skirner spake, my tidings all must I truly learn, ere homeward hence I ride. How soon thou wilt with the mighty son of Niorth a meeting make. Bury there is, which we both know well, a forest fair and still. And 9 nights hence to the son of the north will girth their grant delight. Then Skirner rode home. Frey stood without and spoke to him and asked for tidings. Tell me, Skirner, ere thou take off the saddle, or farest forward one step. I want to know right now, don't be fooling around. What hast thou done in the giant's dwelling to make glad thee or me? So he's asking him, he's like, did you go over and get some for yourself, or did you do what I asked you to do? Right? Barry spake, that Barry there is, which both we know well, a fairest forward still, with 9 nights hence to the son of North will girth there grant thee delight. Long is one night, longer or two. How then shall I bear 3? Often to me has a month seemed less than now a half a night of desire. So there's, aside from the curse, something beautiful has just happened. This meeting of the midnight sun and the northern lights is going to happen in 9 days and 9 days, right? A period of incubation, right? Just like 9 months. The human heart averages about 72 beats a minute. That's divided by 9, right? 9's a real important number. But in all of that, Frey has sacrificed that symbology of being the warrior that leads the Mannerbund with a sword that fights of its own will to become a partner to these gentle northern lights. The midnight sun and the northern lights. I'm sure there are some locations of the world where it might be a most magical thing to be able to see both of them, and it might be possible. And that would be a truly awe-inspiring sight. Way up north or way down south, something beautiful to observe. And in that gentle celestial relationship, we also find that that might be the same thing we should be reaching for. All men grow up to be warriors. We grow up to know with cowboys and Indians and fighting dragons and Dungeons and Dragons and comic book heroes, all of these striving for great feats of accomplishment to feed that yearning in our hearts to be worthy of something, to fight the dragons that come up in our lives. Sometimes we don't even know what they're supposed to be, but they're there and we got to go fight them. Right? What happens to us if we give that away to become a partner? Will we get to enjoy that gentle celestial celebration that I just spoke of with the midnight sun and the aurora? I think that's our goal. Because one of our prime responsibilities as men, and that's what this all started with, is that we have to create an environment where our partner is free to express the beauty of who she is. That's a real scary thing for a man, because that beauty is going to be so powerful that other people are going to be aware of that. And they're going to look in that direction. Just like we do. Every time the northern lights shine, everybody looks up in awe. What a beautiful thing. When we create an environment where a woman is free to express the beauty of who she is in that home and let her have it, that's the essence of, if mama ain't happy, ain't no one happy. If mama's happy, we're all happy, right? That's what it's about. But the only way Frey was able to accomplish that was to sacrifice the outward warrior. He's still very capable of that. And the most beautiful thing I find in the Ragnarok tale is when Frey, so between 12,000 and 11,500 years ago, we had the Younger Dryas event. And every 6,000 years previous to that, there were also other events. And every 40,000 years, there's a timeline of even bigger events, right? The extinction of the dinosaurs, or the transformation of the dinosaurs into birds, which is what they are. And all of these tales of a great flood come from roughly the same time frame. How old is that thought? So you have to realize at the Younger Dryas impact, and I'm telling you all this to get to a point, that comet hit that Laurentide ice sheet and created a tidal wave 1,000 feet tall that flash thawed that 2-mile thick glacier and created the tidal wave so wide it washed across the Oregon Scablands and created things that are 10 times as big as Niagara in a week. And for 20 years thereafter, every time we pass through the Leonid and the other meteor shower, that's the remnant of what hit Earth back then, 12,000 to 11,500 years ago. That destruction, continent-wide wildfires, right? You had huge eruptions. The Salt Lake, the Great Salt Lake at Utah, in Utah, that was full at one time. When that comet struck, it broke out and created the Snake River Canyon. Same thing with the Velas Crater in New Mexico. It's all over the United States if you know but what you're looking at. Huge destruction. Didn't happen in the South. So much water melted in that event that it raised the levels of the oceans 400 feet. I want you to imagine that. They're whining about a degree in Celsius, and it might be a 2-foot rise in water. Imagine 400 feet happening all at once. Now, in them continent-wide wildfires, I want you to imagine this individual who's created a farm, a home, Alfheim, this beautiful land of verdant green, and he has his wife there and perhaps children, and a wildfire comes along, and he's fighting with an elk-handled implement to protect everything that he loves. So now when we look at the physical history of the world, and then we begin to look at this tale and searcher, yeah, the Snake River is made. I've been there a couple times. Now all of a sudden we see something different. An individual who was so powerful, who fought the forest fires so valiantly, with an elk-handled implement to protect everything that he loved. Well, hell's bells. Now we're looking at a conjunction of reality, geography, geology, history, and this mythology that so governs our lives. And sets that example of what it means to be the individual who may not be the warrior, but still has what it takes to be the monster, to protect everything that he loves. To create an environment where a woman is free to be who she is a terrible risk. And it takes an amazing amount of courage to say, go ahead, baby, be beautiful. And still be confident enough to understand that she still loves you very much. But go be pretty. That takes courage. Now, I ain't saying go let her pat. I'm not all about all that nonsense, but to create that environment, when her home, she is the goddess. Fuck yeah, have at it, baby. You're probably going to do better than I can do it. I'll teach the kids how to fight monsters. That's this story of Frey. That's this lesson of men. Now, the Northern Lights and the Midnight Sun, the 6,000-year cycle and the solar maximum, that's when the sun sends out these huge sunspots and solar flares that affect the earth and create powerful auroras, but also create impact hazards for the earth. We are in a shooting range of meteorites and comets. So when people are talking about, oh, well, this group's trying to destroy the world, or this group's trying to take over, or there's a one world government, or there's aliens, or Bigfoot, or what the fuck ever, I'm sitting there going, give it time, buddy. All of these things that we get wound up about have no bearing on our ability to be the partner our partners deserve to have, to be the men that are strong enough to fight for their family against all odds. That's what it means to be a man. That's what it means to grow stronger. So when we talk about growing stronger, we talk about getting our mind and our heart to go in one direction and our ass is going to follow. Sometimes the most powerful motivator is love. And when you connect in a thought process that goes with it, it's real hard to stop that. It's real hard to stop a couple that fires on all cylinders like that all the time. And it's a terrifying, risky thing to do. But I assure you, this tale right here tells us it's worth it. It's worth it to go out there and take the risk of being a man. That's all there is to it. We don't need to be the three-headed monster at home. We don't need to be the warrior when we walk through the front door. Now, if someone comes to that door, We need to be the warrior, the monster, and then some, the berserker, the Ulfidnar, or whatever monster you think you've got within you to handle what happens at the front door. That's the example of Frey in being a partner. Now, since it's Labor Day weekend, probably not going to do Patreon tonight, but this will be uploaded on my Patreon pretty soon. So, having said that, I have a little bit of time here. If anybody wants to make a comment or have a question or want me to elaborate on anything, I'd be happy to take the time right now to discuss it with you. It's exactly right, Jeremy. That's the only way to do it. And I'm the first to admit I haven't been the best at it. I have failed at it more often than I can count, and it sucks too. It sucks to look back on that as a man and realize, damn, you fucked that up because I was a coward in some way, shape, form, or fashion. There was something that I was afraid of that made my actions cowardly. And a lot of times, this is before I even got on this path, and then when I got on this path, this is a shameful thing to deal with, right? There's no forgiveness here. But what there is an awakening and an understanding that allows me to not do that bullshit anymore, right? Because these are the things that people are going to look at. Where's what you say and what you do and how far they overlap is how much people are going to believe in you. Okay? So some people want to talk about fighting the social justice war. Some people want to talk about saving the white race. Some people, like me and a bunch of others, we just want to talk about how do I grow in this? How do I become something more? How do I step up to the plate and satisfy these powerful urges in my heart to be and achieve and do and accomplish wonderful things? Son of a bitch, I lost my train of thought. All of it stems from our ability to create a home. All of whatever it happens to be. If I'm over here and I'm doing radical things that create ugly things that people are going to talk about, or if I'm over here doing things, making up monsters to fight and running around making an ass of myself in the street, I'm not doing what I need to do to be the partner I need to be to create the home or the environment where my partner, Shanae, right, can be free to express the beauty of who she is. And I assure you guys, if you ain't seen her, it's a beautiful thing, right? But in that security, I have the power, the security, the foundation to go out and try great and wonderful things myself with encouragement. It's a two-way street, just like the oaths I was talking about at the beginning, that feeds us, that helps us thrive, that helps us survive, that puts us on a path of pressure, right? Thank you, Justin, to move forward. That's all of this that I'm working on now. These last little bit of YouTube videos that I've done are part of a program I'm working on to outline all of that stuff for people to move forward, right? Now, will it work? All I can say is it's worked for me. What most people can do with it, hell, I don't know. It could take them to Mars for all I know. They could go on and be a president or a Supreme Court justice, or they could be the mayor of the town they live in, or they could run for Congress. But once we are not engaged in the radical ideas on either side of the aisle and begin to center ourselves on being that solid, powerful individual that's accomplished, that's succeeded in their job, that's succeeded in their community, that's raising children that people want to be around, that value their presence, who has a wife who thrives and is everything you dreamed she would be because you let her be free. These are powerful obligations of what it means to be a man in my mind. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I have a real clear thought process that goes with this whole idea, this whole image of Frey, that secures in my mind a path. Thanks, ma'am. I appreciate that, Jeremy. It's probably, yeah. This is what it's going to be about. This is exactly what it's going to be about. Building up, 9 steps, nine powerful steps of becoming something more. 9 powerful parables and ideas in this faith that help us see where we're supposed to be going. Most of the ideas of the organizations in the world today go no further than we don't like them over there and we don't like them over there. And if you believe me, you're right. You can be a part of the cool kids club. I'm not interested in being a part of the cool kids club anymore. What I'm interested in is seeing people that follow this the way I have and the way I do and the way I see it and the way I feel about it, see them succeed. God damn. That's what all this is about, is creating individuals that can thrive in this world and prepare themselves for Ragnarok should it come. That can build strong, powerful communities with each other. I don't care how anybody gets their kicks. What I care about is, are you going to grow into something? You're going to raise children that when that kid walks down the street, and I've said it 1,000 times and I'll say it 1,000 more. Oh, that was old man Wilton's son. He's a pretty good old boy. His dad did a good job with him. Holy fuck. What better accomplishment can you have in this world? Oh, there goes Mrs. Wilton. Yeah, her old man takes care of her hand and foot. And will stomp a mud hole in your ass if you look sideways at her. That's kind of has to be, right? This is what it means to be a part of this whole spirituality. And the problem with it is everybody's tried to rebrand it and rename it and give it some other name and created a group around that and then filled it with bullshit and money and personalities over principles. And I see this thing that I love being trampled by individuals trying to build nothing more than themselves. That's what this next book is going to be about. How do I see one man? He's not going to overcome the mountain. What he's going to overcome is the first step. That's what it's about. It probably is, Jeremy. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I have all of these children and grandchildren in the world. And if you think I wouldn't get out there with these elk antlers behind me and give it fucking hell against all odds, you got me. Go ahead, underestimate me. That'll be fun. You know what I mean? I'm sure you feel the same way. Matter of fact, I know you do. But I'm not going to say what else I have in the house. They probably banned me. Get shadow banned. Yeah, there's things that are going to happen in the world that we can't anticipate. Right? There's things we can't brace ourselves for enough. The reason we need that warrior mentality is some of the things that are going to happen are going to hurt. We're going to lose our parents. We might lose a child. We might lose a partner. They may die. They will die. Right? We're going to lose things, and it requires the ability to shut that off. And any soldier that knows to keep moving forward. Now, ain't nobody really ever told anybody how to unplug all that and handle it properly, but hopefully someday it'll come to light. Hopefully someday somebody will come up with it, because there's a lot of our veterans that fucking need it. At any rate, I digress. Those are some of my thoughts on what it means to be a man, and I feel pretty solidly about them. Now, there's going to be a lot of people point out, oh, he didn't always live up to that. No, I haven't. But moving forward, you can bet your sweet ass I have a strong enough back to carry the weight of that responsibility. And that's how it's going to be. So, having said all that, I appreciate everybody that joined in on this Labor Day weekend, right? I hope you have a wonderful time. If anybody wants to reach out to me, shoot me a message. My phone number is all over the place. I'm more than willing to take a call and have a discussion with you. If you're at the bottom of the barrel, at the end of your rope, fix to put a gun in your mouth, whatever. I got you. Just give me a ring. With that, everybody have a good night, and I will see you next Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday, so you don't have to grab it by the nose and whip its ass. You can lay on your ass and get plenty of fluids. Now, that does not mean laying around drunk, but, right? Tomorrow's, have a good day. Just have a fucking awesome day, right? And bear up under the load, right? All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate every one of you.